Welcome back to another follow along with me, Miss B. We're into week 8 of quarter 3, landscape 5.1. We're going to be doing perspective, in particular linear perspective. So you are going to need paper, and this is the same legal size paper that you guys have. You should be using a ruler, a pencil, and an eraser, as well as something to color with. Now with linear perspective, we do need to start with a horizon line, so this is what you're going to need your ruler for. If you do not have your ruler, you're going to need to find a straight edge to create your horizon line with. You also want to put your horizon line above half of your paper, so not directly in the middle. You can also see that I'm using the same size paper you guys are, so it is a little bit longer than your ruler, so you will have to line that up pretty well. I am going to be drawing lightly and then tracing over what I'm doing. So once I have my horizon line, I'm going to draw my perspective lines. So from the horizon line down, and I'm going to put these on a slight angle. They're not going to meet at a point as we've done in the past, but we are going to leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches space between those diagonal lines. So once these 3 lines are drawn, we have the basic setup for our linear perspective project. On either side of my diagonal lines, I'm going to draw a mountain ridge. Draw these however you want, or you can copy them as I'm doing them. What you do want to be careful of is that we do not draw between our 2 diagonal lines. We're going to leave that open up at the top. So just above your horizon line, you don't want to have anything there. And then where your diagonal line starts is where you can begin your mountain range. So I am creating snow caps on these mountains. You don't have to do that, but it does create a little bit more detail for you. In the center, just above the horizon line and between my 2 diagonal lines, I am going to make a circle. This will be my sun. If you want to do a nighttime scene, this can be the moon as well. Now, you can pick which side of the paper you'd like to do this on. Again, you can copy mine exactly. You can get creative with yours. But we're going to go back to our elements of art and the element of form. And we are going to create a 3-dimensional house. So very basic. So I started with a square and a triangular roof. Then using the techniques of form that we learned back when we did the elements of art, I'm going to turn those into a 3D house. Those of you that are at home, if you don't remember how to do this, you can always reference the video back from quarter 2. I'm just cleaning up some of the edges, making sure everything lines up. We'll make a little pathway out to the road. Again, just adding some details. I'm gonna put a door here. You can also add windows. It's gonna be up to you. You guys are gonna be creative with this one. I'm just giving you the basics. I'm gonna add some bushes. I'm adding a few more bushes here toward the bottom. You can add a fence, you can add an animal, you can add another house. You can make a row of houses, you could make a city block if you want. Just as long as you're using form on this and you are doing it correctly. So this is really a review to make sure that you understand how form works with linear perspective using the horizon line. So this is a landscape using everything we've done with the elements of art. On this side, I am going to create a row of trees that will get smaller as they go back. So just like last week, we are starting with our largest tree in the front. The one that is closest to us. And yes, I'm drawing everything out very lightly because I'm going to go in with my eraser when I'm finished and clean up any lines that don't belong there. So again, my trees are getting smaller and smaller as they recede back to the horizon line. This is nothing we haven't done before. We're just adding it all together into one project. This would be a good time to add anything else you'd like to your picture. For video purposes, I'm going to keep mine just as it is, and I'm going to go in with a darker pencil and only darken in the lines that I would like to keep. That way, when I go back over with my eraser, I don't have any extra lines coming through. We will not be doing any color this week. We're going to have our color portion next week. So make sure you remember to bring your project back to school. You should all have an art folder, as you were told to have back in August. So just put these in your art folder so we can take them out next week. The rest of this class period will be spent creating details to this picture. So again, you can add a fence, you can add more houses, if you want to add a city block of buildings instead of a house, you can do that. If you want to add trees to the other side of the road, if you want to put the dotted lines on your road, receding back, going from big to small, you can do that. If you want to add a bird in the sky or clouds, whatever it is you want to add, that's what we're going to use the rest of the period to do with this landscape that we're creating now. So all details should be drawn in pencil this week. So next week we can spend our time blending the colors, creating the colors. Please make sure you do not have markers next week and that you do have crayons and color pencils. That will be week 25 of school and you should have your supplies. So now I'm just going to go in with my eraser and erase any background lines that I don't want showing. Again, if you drew lightly on your paper, this should be a very easy process and nothing will come through your color pencils or crayons next week. Those of you that are face-to-face that have oil pastels and you want to use those next week, please do that. Same at home, if you want to use paint on this project at home or your oil pastels or chalk pastels, you'll definitely need those for next week when we start to add color. So this is going to finish up our project for this week. Make sure you submit this pencil drawing on Schoology for full credit. If you're missing half your project, I can only give you half the grade. So any questions, send them to Schoology. Don't forget to click the like button, and have a nice day.